Hello. So I want to demonstrate a little bit today is what I've been doing recently. So I'm building a game again, and as every game I make, I need a UI system. So I'm just tired of rewriting a UI system every time because it's so dependent on the engine you're building every time, like inputs and rendering. So I'm trying to build a UI engine. Well, an engine, it's like two files, a header file and a CPP, something really small, really tight that I can just bring to any projects I do, and basically it's going to call back when it needs to render. So this is the tool that I've built to create the UI, which is not finished, it's really work in progress, but I want to show some of the cool stuff I've been doing. The tool is not finished, like some functions don't work, but it's fine. So what I'm going to demonstrate is, let's say we build a dialogue, in-game dialogue. Let's say you buy something and there's a dialogue. So let's create a panel. All right, I'm just going to name it dialogue and put it the size I want. So one cool thing you notice, there's a tree view. That's pretty cool. It's all UI using this system. And you know, there's a little guide, as you can see, the little blue line that appeared there, so I can snap things. It's cool too. Alright, so let's say this is a dialogue. I want to put a little picture in the top left there, so I'm going to Alt Shift and add an image, so it adds it as a child. So if I move this, now the little picture moves. I'm going to snap it there with the auto padding and make it a little bit bigger. Alright, so I got a dialogue with an icon. Let's call this icon. And then your game can go fetch icon by name and then set an image to it, whatever it wants. And then what I'm going to do, add little buttons there, because a dialogue needs buttons. And let's name it button OK. So you'll notice one thing. So everything works fine so far, but if I resize the window, the button doesn't follow. So I'm gonna have to go in align and snap it to the bottom right, and then just adjust its padding. So now it's always going to follow. So I'm going to do the same thing with a second button. I should have just copy pasted this one, but this feature is still in progress, so I'm not going to show it. So I'm going to select this and button cancel, and it just follows the dialogue. So this is what we call responsive layout, basically. You can use the dialogue in the game for like various reasons, and it can resize depending what you're doing, so it can be an easy way to do something generic. The little UI engine does all of this for you, basically. Alright, so I'm going to create a line here to separate the title and the content. So I'm going to add it as an image. Let's snap it there. The snapping makes everything so good. Now, I'm going to run in a second problem. If I resize the window, the line doesn't follow. And this is not the same case. This is not a line right. It has to basically follow both sides. So what we're going to do is set the width as relative. So basically I could have said also percentage 100%, and it's always going to be 100%. So now, as you can see, it follows the windows. All right. I'm going to follow the same logic and create a label area there for the title. Let's snap it nicely like that and like that. As you can see, it sits beautifully there. I'm going to call it title. Let's call that line separator. So you can see all the things are named properly there. And I'm going following the same logic of the line. I'm going to set its relative width. So whatever I resize, the label always follow. Alright, and then I'm going to create the content area. Let's create a new panel. Use proper padding like this, snap it. And I want to relative it on its width, and I want it on its height too, because I'm going to end up with the same problem otherwise. Let's snap it both. So now, as you can see, everything works perfectly. While resizing something, I can Alt Shift, and it's gonna respect the ratio just like Photoshop does it, or I can Alt Alt, and it's going to do the inverse, or both Alt and Shift. And then if I want, I can center this window, and whatever I pop it in my game, it's going to be center whatever the resolution is. So that's pretty much it. If I can demonstrate more things, is let's say this window there, this editor actually used the same concept. So let's use a button, because no, let's use a label, yeah, panel. Let's make it 24 height, and let's say this is our toolbar there at the top, right? This thing there. Well, let's create our dialog first. All right, and inside I'm going to create. Let's use buttons because they're text, they're easy to see. And you just set them relative as width, and the same thing's going to happen. It's always going to fit. You can make a nice little game window too, see, with the title bar like that. It works well. And then you can do like this part on the left, which let's add a new button like that. Let's make it 128. And I want it to be responsive in height, relative in height. So you can see it's always going to fit well, and so on. So if I create a new one, I snap it top right. Let's make it 128 and snap it at the bottom. Oh, I didn't set this height relative. So as you can see, it's always going to follow nicely whatever you're doing. So I think this is really important, mostly for games. And you can set things by percentage, precision by percentage if you want. So you know, you can have like some UI stuff, and the percentage can help when you have save frames on console and such. So anyway, that's the stuff I'm working on right now, and everything will be fully scannable. The tool is not finished, obviously. All right, hope you enjoyed.